on the phone? Ms. Hill?
Apparently she needs me to resend her the email.
Okay. Give that just a moment. I will read my quote for tonight. Don't let your yesterday take too much of your time today. Let me know when you have Ms. Hill, please, and we'll start.
She got it.
Okay.
So she just needed me.
Did you send it to her, Stacy? Did she get
Oh,
that?
I said she said yes, thanks. So.
Okay. Ms. Hill, are you there? Oh, she'll just
I
have to
can
join in
see
when
it
she gets here.
comes on and-
All righty, presentation, declare May as Building Safety Month, requested by the Mayor's Office. Is there someone supposed to, I think Tom is going to speak on this?
I believe so, and Tom should be on the phone.
Tom, are you there?
Hello, Council. Yes. Thomas here. This proclamation is to recognize, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is to recognize the safety and economic value of the homes, buildings, and infrastructure that serve our citizens both in everyday life and in times of natural disasters like we have now. And that recognizing that safety and economic value is achieved through the devotion of building safety, fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, contractors, and tradespeople. And it's to declare the month of May as Building Safety Month. And it's something that our local community, our nearby communities are doing. City of Madison, City of Huntsville, Madison County, and City of Athens. We've been working together at building departments in these other jurisdictions and just recognize this, and also to recognize the cooperation and coordination helps through all these other, our local jurisdictions, helps us achieve building safety.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes, ma'am.
Any discussion? Mr. Ard?
No questions.
Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Approval of minutes on City Council regular meeting March 16th, 2020 at 10 a.m. Any questions?
I'll have to read through them before I know if I vote for all of them.
Okay, Mr. Ard?
No questions.
Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Mr. Jackson? March 30th, 2020, 5 p.m. work session. Mr. Kirby? You're going to look through all of these?
Yeah, I'll look through them all.
Mr. Jackson?
At this point.
Mr. Ard?
No questions.
Ms. Hill?
None at this time.
April 6th, 2020, 5:30 p.m. work session. Mr. Kirby or Jackson? Mr. Ard?
No questions.
Ms. Hill?
None.
City Council regular meeting, April 6th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Mr. Kirby or Mr. Jackson?
Ditto.
Mr. Ard?
No questions.
Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Resolution 2097, award bid number for Stirs Boys and Girls Club renovation. Alan, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. This is a project that we're doing at the Eva Stirs on Vine Street to renovate this facility for Miss Ellison for the Decatur Youth Enrichment. She has been asked to move out of the present facility she's in. We feel like that, Miss Ellison has done a wonderful job with the youth for many, many years. And just as a side note, she just recently lost her husband, and we want to send condolences for that. But we received 3 bids, and we're requesting authorization for the low bid to E-Tech Construction for $292,214.
Mr. Kirby or Mr. Jackson?
Alan, where are they moving to? What structure or building?
This is the facility on Vine Street, there beside the park on Vine Street.
Same property next door, something like that?
Well, presently they're on Adams Drive, Mr. Kirby, and they're moving to this facility.
And what's the source of the money paying for this?
CDBG.
Thank you.
Mr. Jackson? Mr. Ard?
Yeah, Alan, 2 questions. What was the envelope note for the ad?
Mr. Art, I'm not sure I think basically the way they normally do these is they seal them, and then if they have some subcontractors that come in after the fact, then they add that to after they seal the envelopes. But most of them had, some of them had deducts. Some of the times they'll have deducts, and some of the times they'll have add-ons. But they really don't describe in the notes. They just say add $27,650 to the bid.
Okay. One last question, Alan, and that is that one of the 3 bidders was just totally out in left field. Any idea why?
Well, he actually came back and said that there was a tabulation error in his total, but it was still he was still high, but it wasn't that high. It was, I think it was $350,000.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a lot different than $711,000. Okay.
Yeah, he had a tabulation error, and he called Mr. Earwood and told him, but he was still high.
Thank you.
Mr. Ard, this is Charles.
Charles
Yeah.
Booth? Yes.
Just for clarification, those envelope notes are admissible according to the state courts. And if he comes down to a calculation error on his total, we have to take unit price. So the 350 is his real number.
I gotcha.
Ms. Hill?
Thank you, Charles.
Yes.
Do you have any questions?
Hey, Alan?
Yes, ma'am.
Alan, what's the time frame?
They're actually, I think E-Tech is ready to start as soon as we give them the proceed. Because there is a time frame, because and Mr. Jackson may be able to help us a little bit, but the present building that they're in is Housing Authority, and they have given them, they actually give them to the end of February, I think, to be out, if I'm not mistaken, Billy. But yeah, so we are in sort of a time crunch, but E-Tech has been willing to work with us. We are doing a completely new roof, just because of the problems we've had in the past with roofs. We just told them to put a whole new roof on it. So that's one of the reasons that it came in as high as it did.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, this is Tab. As it relates to the Housing Authority, and while this is a wonderful project and will be good for Decatur Youth Enrichment, I believe the Housing Authority ended up extending some grace as far as the ability to stay through the end of the school year.
That's good.
Anything further? Resolution
No, thank you.
2098, approved port security grant application. Alan?
Yes, ma'am. This is a grant that is available for municipalities who are on the port. So we are asking that you allow us to apply for this grant. It's a grant in combination with the police department, the fire department, and also there's a component for IT, for cybersecurity. It does require a match, so we're just asking your approval to allow us to apply for this grant. The grant match would have to come out of unassigned fund balance because we didn't budget for this application.
Alan, I noticed that we've got it's for a response boat, a hazmat vessel, and related equipment. Where's all this going to be stored?
The police, that is the fire department component, Mr. Hard, and I think, and maybe they could answer that better than I, but I believe at the present time they're planning on just dry storing it at one of the at the fire station.
Alan,
there
I'm
by
here.
England.
Alan, this is Chief Upman. I'm here at the meeting. I'll be glad to cover that.
Yeah, if you don't mind, that'd be good, Chief.
Okay. Our current plan is to store it in our empty hazmat building located at Station Number 2 on Wilson Street. The boat would be capable of being trailered. That facility will hold that and keep it in a good state of response directly across from Ingalls Harbor, so it could be in the water with the crew there from Station 2 in a couple, 3 minutes.
Is there a reason that the boat Decatur already has is not sufficient to use here?
Good question. Yes, the boat Decatur has was gotten on a port security grant as well by Decatur Police Department in, I think, 2014. It is set up to mitigate security risk with the port and the river, and the vessels that are owned by Morgan County Rescue Squad are tailored for response to rescuing folks. The boat we're looking at will be tailored and strictly built for mitigation of fire. It'll have a fire pump. It will have it's a landing craft type vessel with an aft door that drops. It will be capable of carrying 1,000 foot of deployment boom and deploy it out that front door in a timely fashion to protect our infrastructure from spills. As I've been working with Alan putting this grant together, I was amazed at the amount of infrastructure this city has. We've always knew in the fire department that we needed a vessel. I didn't realize how bad until I started really digging into this. We are the largest port on the Tennessee River, the second largest port in the state of Alabama. We have more commerce, serious hazardous cargo that comes into this city than anywhere other than Mobile.
And this is relative to Port of Decatur, right?
That is correct. It is tailored around the port.
Physically, where is the Port of Decatur?
Physically, it's owned by Parker Towing, and it is, I'm trying to think the best way to describe it. It is about a mile down river from Ingalls Harbor.
And so it's technically out in the PJ, isn't it?
I think they are actually in the city, Charles. I have to confirm that.
I would like that confirmed. What's the general value of the grant?
The boat ask would be $663,000 with $32,000 additional asked for basic minimal training for the crew to respond in a safe manner. That's accredited from a national training organization, which the police department used when they received their grant and went on the
There will be additional operational costs, gasoline, insurance, other things. Are they going to be part of the fire department budget?
It will. We'll build that into the budget, and I estimate it to be around $10,000 to $15,000 per year.
Appreciate it. Get
Chief,
me that other
I
information
only
about
see
where it's
about
located.
Excuse me, Alan?
I think it's Mr. Ard.
Mr. Arndt, I'm sorry.
Now, when I look at the grant here, it's only about 500 and
It's It's four-
50,000.
Yeah, it's
I thought you
465,
said
661 plus the 86 match. So I was gonna question that too. Tim.
And I'm assuming, and Alan can answer this, that the remainder would be the ask from the police department on their part of that. It's all tied together. We use one DUNS number through the city, and therefore we had to apply as a city if more than one agency within the city has a request on that grant.
Yes, the total grant is for the police department, fire, and the police department is requesting a drone. We've also, we have another grant opportunity, so at this time, I'm going to continue to ask to include that into this grant, but there may be some other funding opportunities that we may not include the drone in this application, but at this time I'd ask that we leave it in there. And then also there's a cybersecurity portion of that IT, and that's $30,000 from the IT department for some cybersecurity just in general for the city.
But Alan, the grant doesn't even cover the cost of the boat. Chief said that this thing was $600 and something thousand just for the boat.
No,
Did
now,
you say six?
363,000, Councilman, or 363 and some change.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it was breaking up over the phone, so I heard it as 600,000. I'm sorry.
The reason
That's
for the,
300. Go ahead.
I was just going to add that the reason for the cybersecurity piece is the grant at the federal level has recognized the need for cybersecurity nationwide. So they've added a 20% credit, if you will, or consideration. They get folks that are asking for a cybersecurity piece in this grant will get a 20% greater consideration than others that do not.
And then to Councilman Kirby's question, the port is actually in the city limits of Decatur.
Okay, thank you, Alan.
Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Madam President, well, since we're done with that issue, since Chief Putman's up there, I have a different question, if I may, with you up there. With all these emergencies that have happened lately, we've heard about shelters opening up and people crowding into shelters. With your concerns of health and safety, how does that get handled? Is that strictly fall under EMA, or is somebody else having to monitor that?
As far as the storm shelters?
How many people can get how close together in those shelters?
Actually, the police department is heading that. Chief Allen heads it, but from our perspective and following the guidance of what we've been hearing from the state at the state level is the storm's threat to public safety is much greater than the COVID virus, so they're allowing us to open them.
So they're going to err on the side of caution on one side?
That is correct. I think they're trying to follow the guidance. Fortunately for us here in the city, the schools have ample area that they're trying to do as much social distancing as possible during those storm-related events where they had to shelter.
Appreciate your
Yes.
feedback on that.
Yes, thank you.
Chief Allen, do you have anything else to add to that? Maybe he's not on there. I do know, Charlie.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am, not at all.
You do post signs, do you not, at the big front of these shelters at the schools, letting people know that the 6-foot radius will probably be breached?
Yes, ma'am, we do. And if we also advise them that if they are feeling unwell, sick or something of that nature, we have a sick room set aside for them. And also now we are providing surgical masks for everyone who enter who don't have a mask.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chief.
Sorry to detour y'all, I just felt we needed to know that.
Yeah, good question.
I know the occurrence we had at the very first of this, there were about 500 people at both Austin and Decatur. It was pretty packed that first weekend that we had. Isn't that right, Chief? Chief Allen?
That is correct. We had about 250 at each shelter the first time we had to open them.
This time around, we had about less than 10 in each one.
Thanks, sir.
You're welcome.
Ordinance's first reading, ordinance number 204407, approve annual ad valorem tax levy for FY21. First reading, ordinances for that meeting, ordinance number 204406, revise voting districts and precincts. Anything added to that, Stacy or Shep or Herman? No?
No changes.
I think he said no changes.
Okay.
He did say that, James.
Thank you, Herman.
Yeah, no changes.
Thank you, Herman.
Thank you.
Anything from council, Mr. Kirby?
One thing, and I saw some comments quoted in the paper recently about certain positions to be hired and that kind of stuff. We've got 4 positions on our radar screen in excess of $500,000 affecting our payroll. And with this national emergency going on right now, I do not think that we are in a position to force those hirings to happen, especially when we've had to cancel recycling pickup and large debris pickup because we don't have the staff to handle it. We don't even know the effect of this national emergency on our budget in general terms. I'm not saying that those positions at some point don't have to happen, but I don't think we should force them to happen until this national emergency is behind us.
I'd like to make a clarification on the recycle, Mr. Kirby. Those are state inmates that do that job, and they have been by the government banned from coming out. So that has to stop recycle-wise. Enrique, are you on the line?
Hey, this is Tab. I don't see where Ricky's on, but
We have not suspended the pickup, have we? It is just, I think, delayed a week, but it is not suspended. Is that correct?
He's doubling up this week, and actually with some overtime that we expect to be able to recoup via FEMA. It will be well documented. And then as for the positions, I can think of 2. One, of course, is our development director, and then, of course, a fire chief. I see Ms. Sandlin's on the call. I can't think of where the other 2 would come in that would bring us up to the amount that Councilman Kirby referenced.
Youth Services and Public Information Specialist, or Information Specialist.
Yeah, so the the communications specialist will not be hired until we get past this.
So you're saying the others will, are you saying the others will be?
Well, we certainly feel like we need a director of development and a fire chief for our city. And then, of course, the status of our youth services director is, of course, with the council.
Well, Mayor, look at it in these terms if you don't mind. People who are looking at these jobs regionally or nationally with this emergency going on are very much less likely to change jobs with this all going on. So I think, among other things, it very much limits the pool of candidates when we've got staff that can actually handle this until the emergency is behind us. I have faith in the people currently in place to get things done.
I don't know if we have staff that's really able to do what our director of development does.
But you also haven't found the right person after 2 searches, supposedly.
Okay.
Ms. Sandlin, I think actually the first search, we've only done 1, and the second one they're bringing to us at some time. Is that correct? Ms. Sandlin? Okay, she's not on there. That is out with they have not brought us the second round of candidates for that job since.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
I can, yes, Rochelle.
Yes, I have on your calendars today scheduled a tentative hold for April 27th for a calendar or a WebEx review of the first round of recommended candidates for Director of Development by GovHR. I think it's safe to say we're continuing the recruitment efforts in all of those areas. We don't anticipate hires will be immediate within the next week or 2, but certainly I don't know that we're going to hold or freeze our recruitment efforts on those opportunities.
That's my statement as the council, that I think we should decide to do that.
I don't personally have a problem with the recruitment process. I do have a concern if we hire these people at this particular time from an interview process, from a most basic perspective, and the fact that if we were to hire someone, are they going to uproot their family and move into this community while this situation is occurring? And they're not. So therefore, I don't see the urgency when we don't feel that they're going to move in to our community at this particular time.
Mr. Ard, do you have any comments?
Yes, I tend to believe that we need to continue along these lines, that this social distancing is not going to be forever, and that we need to be poised and ready to move. So I am fully in favor of continuing to search and do what Ms. Sandlin has suggested.
Ms. Hill?
I concur with that and would even state that even if we did in 3 to 4 weeks decide that we want to hire someone, that we could also make an exception that maybe they don't move until this social distancing is over, or give them a little more time for that. But I'm okay with the recommendation that Rochelle has presented and recruiting to move forward.
I want it on the council agenda for us to vote on that.
Does anybody have a problem with that, putting it on Monday's agenda then?
To vote
I have no
for
problem.
Okay.
Development Director, Fire Chief, and DYS Director moving forward?
I guess moving forward, are you saying moving forward with Ms. Sandlin's recommendation?
I want to make the statement as a council that all 4 of those positions should be put off until this threat is behind us.
Well, there's 3.
There's 4 positions: youth services,
That mayor's.
fire chief, economic development, and information
The
specialist.
mayor said just a moment ago that one's off anyway until this is
Well,
over. He said that. So I mean, if he
It's still,
says-
the council should state its position on it.
Well, if it's not going to come to us, I'm not sure when we have to state a position on it. I have no problem with that. If anyone else does, Stacy, you can put that on the agenda for Monday to vote on. Rochelle, let me ask you.
Communication Specialist isn't a council decision. Can you confirm that?
That isn't the point. This is a budget impact.
Rochelle.
Over $500,000 impact.
Rochelle, can you confirm that for Christie? And then I have a question, please, on when is Wally's retirement date? I know it's in April.
Wally's retirement date is, April 30th, so effective May 1st, he's considered retired.
Okay.
The communications specialist is not a department director level position. Council manages director level positions. To my knowledge, all others are handled at the operational level with the mayor.
So that would be a mayor appointment?
I hear what okay, and I hear what Mr. Kirby is suggesting. I just was clarifying that do you want to move forward on this vote with the 3 positions or just that one?
Those 4 positions have in excess of a $500,000 impact on our budget at a time when we're going to take a budget hit. And we should know more about where we're going with our budget before we fill those 4 positions.
I think what Ms.
We know that some of them, like fire chief, we got to handle at some point. We know that.
I think what Ms. Hill is saying is the communication specialist is not a council call.
It doesn't matter. It's still a budget impact.
Well, I mean, does anybody have a problem putting it on there? I mean, Mayor, that's your call because it's your position to hire. Mayor?
Yes, I was unmuting. I've already shared my position that we will continue with the interviews, but we will not be able to do hiring until we see where we are with our budget.
And I think that's a very good point. We don't know where we are with our budget with that position, but likewise, we're not going to know where we are with our budget with any of those positions. And for example, if we're talking about the fire department, we've got an interim in that position where we don't know what our budget's going to be. So at this particular point, it makes sense for us to hold off on those things.
Chief Putnam, when is your retirement date?
Won't be until August 2021 now. Got a while.
No luck with that?
It
Wow.
didn't work out.
I'm sorry.
It'll be okay. Got a reason to be here, the way I look at it.
Mayor, if you don't mind, don't disappear until we get done with this agenda. I got a follow-up question for you.
do you want to ask him now, or?
I don't want to interrupt your agenda.
We're done. I'm
Was
just
that all of
taking,
them?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm just taking.
Are you there, Mayor?
I'm here. I'll tell you, the Director of Development covers a lot of area in our city, and I believe well, I just trust that the council will find a majority to move forward with that.
Mayor, in your comments about the debris we're picking up, now I understood that all large debris was suspended for pickup.
Well, I'm sorry that it's some misinformation there. I can send you an email that came out today from Ricky as to what Street and Environmental has planned to do in this week to really knock that out.
And that's the reason I asked, is because I continue to see those claw trucks driving around the city when I'm hearing that suspended.
Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it was ever suspended, Charles.
That's one of the news releases that went out.
Well, I've talked with Ricky, and, Mayor, has it ever been suspended?
You would not find, I don't think you would find anything that Ricky had, in the first release that went out after we went to a modified operations staffing level, Ricky asked that residents, refrain from putting large debris out on the streets so that we could give all of our attention, based on the personnel that we were utilizing, to solid waste collection and using both of the solid waste receptacles. That was only one time. Since then, there's been nothing like that, and the trucks have been running, but they're not running on the frequency that they normally would if we did not have a modified operational staffing plan in place.
Very good, Mayor. Thank you for that correction. I do stand corrected. And please get me the specifics of that so I can help make it clear to people what the process is.
Well, the specifics will be is that we're working overtime this week to really clean up the city.
But you said you were going to send me an email. Get me some kind of time frame, like we expect to be behind a week or two, or what that is, please.
Be glad to.
Thank you.
Mr. Kirby, anything else?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Jackson?
No.
Mr. R., did you have anything?
I do not.
Ms. Hill?
No, ma'am.
Directors? Any directors here? Mayor?
No, ma'am. Thank you.